Have you ever done everything right? You eat your vegetables, you take your walks, you get to bed at a decent hour. But you still wake up feeling like you've barely slept at all? You know that feeling. A dull ache behind the eyes, a fogginess that just won't lift, or joints that feel creaky and stiff for no good reason. We're often told this is just a normal part of getting older. A price we pay for a long life. It's a belief that we've all come to accept, haven't we? But what if I told you that this daily struggle might have nothing to do with your age at all? What if the real culprit is hiding in plain sight, in the one room where you're supposed to feel safest? As a family doctor who has been treating patients for over 30 years, I have seen a quiet truth that many people find hard to believe. For anyone over 65, your own bedroom could be the most hazardous room in your house. I'm not just talking about theories from a book. I'm talking about real people. I think of my patient, Helen, a wonderful 73-year-old retired schoolteacher from Oregon. She came into my office, exhausted. She had constant headaches, restless nights, and a fatigue so deep she could barely enjoy her retirement. We ran blood work, we did scans. Everything came back normal. But something was clearly wrong. It wasn't until we started talking about her nightly routine, about the very space where she slept, that we discovered the source of her suffering. It was a simple, common device, sitting just 12 inches from her head, night after night. The truth is, there are 5 hidden sources of toxic radiation in most bedrooms that can quietly disrupt your sleep, weaken your memory, and even affect your heart. In this video, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to empower you. We are going to break down each of these 5 dangers, one by one. And for each one, I will give you the simple, practical, and often free steps you can take to protect yourself, starting tonight. And please, make sure you stay with me until the very end. Because the 4th danger I'll reveal is the one I see next to almost every senior's bed, and understanding it is absolutely critical. Getting rid of it can dramatically improve joint pain and even calm an unsteady heart rhythm. The information in that section alone could change the way you feel every single morning. Before we dive in, I'm genuinely curious about how many of us share this experience. If the problem I just described sounds familiar to you, if you've ever felt that unexplained morning fatigue, please take a moment to comment a simple yes below. It helps me understand what you're going through, and it shows others in our community that they are not alone. Okay, let's uncover the first hidden danger. Alright, let's begin with our first hidden danger. It's something so common, so seemingly innocent, that you've probably looked at it thousands of times without a second thought. I'm talking about that digital alarm clock sitting on your nightstand. Danger number 1. The digital alarm clock. That little device, with its soft, glowing numbers, feels like a faithful friend, doesn't it? It's been there for years, waking you up for work, for appointments, for early mornings with the grandkids. It seems completely harmless. But I'm here to tell you that this silent companion is one of the most persistent sources of low-level radiation in your bedroom. It's a constant emitter of electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, beaming them directly at your head while you sleep. Think about it. For 6, 7, 8 hours a night, your brain, the most delicate and complex organ in your body, is sitting just inches away from a steady, pulsing field of energy. Now, you might be thinking, Doctor, it's just a little clock. How much harm can it really do? And that's a fair question. The answer lies in how our bodies work, especially during sleep. At night, your brain is supposed to be producing a crucial hormone called melatonin. Many of you have probably heard of it. People take it as a supplement to help them sleep. Melatonin is your body's natural sleep signal. It tells your system it's time to power down, to rest, and most importantly, to begin the vital process of cellular repair. It's the conductor of your nightly healing orchestra. Here's the problem. Scientific studies, including research from institutions that study environmental health, have shown that exposure to EMFs, even at low levels, can suppress your body's natural melatonin production. That glowing clock is essentially sending a disruptive signal to your brain, confusing it and preventing it from fully entering those deep, restorative stages of sleep. It's like trying to have a quiet, peaceful conversation while someone is humming loudly right next to your ear. You might be able to sleep, but it's not the quality of sleep your body is crying out for. This brings us to the core reason why this becomes so critical after age 65. The simple, biological truth is that as we get older, our natural production of melatonin already begins to decline. It's one of the reasons sleep can become lighter and more fragmented in our later years. So, you're already starting with less of this essential healing hormone. When you add a device that actively reduces what little you have, you're making a challenging situation significantly worse. Your body is trying to run a marathon with one leg tied behind its back. It simply can't perform the repairs it needs to. And what are the signs? What are the relatable symptoms of this nightly interference? They are the very things so many of my patients complain about, the things we too often dismiss as just getting old. It's that feeling of waking up tired, even after 8 hours in bed. It's that dull, persistent headache that greets you in the morning. It's that heavy, groggy feeling behind your eyes, that brain fog that makes it hard to remember a name or focus on the morning crossword puzzle. These aren't just random aches and pains of aging. I truly believe, after seeing this pattern for decades, that they are often your body's way of screaming for help, a signal that it isn't getting the deep, uninterrupted rest it needs to heal. This brings me back to my patient, Helen, the retired teacher I mentioned earlier. Her story is the perfect real-world proof of this. When Helen first came to see me, she was at her wit's end. "Doctor," she told me, her voice heavy with fatigue, "I go to bed at 9 p.m. every night. I don't drink coffee after noon. I meditate. I do everything the books tell me to do. But I wake up every single morning feeling like I've been run over by a truck." Her daily headaches were so persistent that she was taking Tylenol almost every day just to function. We couldn't find anything medically wrong with her. During one of our follow-up visits, I asked her to describe her bedroom to me. She mentioned her comfortable mattress, her blackout curtains, and her bright, red-numbered digital clock, sitting right on her nightstand, about a foot from her pillow. It had been her husband's, and she'd kept it there for comfort after he passed. On a hunch, I asked her to try a little experiment. I said, "Helen, for 1 week, I want you to unplug that clock and put it in a drawer. Go to Target or Walmart and buy a simple, $10 battery-powered analog clock. The old-fashioned kind, with hands that tick. Place it across the room on your dresser." She was skeptical, but she was desperate enough to try anything. A week later, she called my office. Her voice was completely different. It was lighter, brighter. "Doctor," she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, "it's a miracle." After the third night, I slept through until 6 a.m. without waking up once. I haven't done that in years. The headaches, they're gone. Just gone. It wasn't a miracle. It was simply a matter of removing the source of interference. By getting that clock away from her head, she allowed her body to finally do what it was designed to do: produce melatonin and enter a state of deep healing. So, what is the clear, simple action you can take from this? It's a corrective action, and it's one I urge you to take tonight. First, unplug that digital clock next to your bed. Right now. The most effective solution is to replace it with a battery-operated or a wind-up model. These emit no EMFs and work just as well. They are inexpensive and can be found anywhere. If, for some reason, you absolutely must use your digital clock, then please move it at least 6 feet away from your bed. Distance is your friend when it comes to EMFs. The intensity of the field drops off dramatically with just a few feet of space. This isn't about giving up modern conveniences. It's about being smarter with our technology. It's about creating a sleep environment that serves our biology, not one that works against it. You wouldn't try to sleep with bright lights on and loud music playing, because you know that would disrupt your rest. Think of that glowing clock in the same way, as a source of silent electronic noise. Tonight, I want you to make this one simple change. Take that clock off your nightstand. Give your brain the quiet darkness and electronic peace it has been begging for. This single, small adjustment costs you nothing, but it could give you back the restorative sleep you thought you had lost forever. Your brain and your entire body will thank you for it. Let's move on to the second hidden danger in your bedroom. This one is a symbol of modern life, a device that connects us to our children, our friends, and the world. But its convenience can come at a hidden cost, especially when it's placed in the wrong room. Danger number 2. The Wi-Fi router. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A Wi-Fi router? It just sits there, blinking. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't get hot. How could it possibly be a problem? Many people, logically, keep their router in their bedroom or a nearby office to get the strongest possible internet signal. It makes sense. But what we often forget is that a strong signal means the device is constantly pushing out powerful radio frequency waves, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if that router is in or near your bedroom, you are essentially sleeping in a dense field of microwave radiation all night long. To understand why this is a concern, we need to talk about something called the blood-brain barrier. I want you to imagine it as a very fine, very intelligent mesh filter that surrounds your brain. Its job is to be a security guard. It lets the good stuff in, like oxygen and nutrients, and it keeps the bad stuff out, like toxins and other harmful substances that might be circulating in your bloodstream. This barrier is one of the most important protective mechanisms in your entire body. It is what keeps your brain, your command center, safe and stable. Here is the crucial scientific finding. A growing body of research from independent scientists and health institutes suggests that long-term exposure to the type of radiation emitted by Wi-Fi routers can cause this protective barrier to become more permeable or leaky. It essentially pokes tiny holes in that fine mesh filter, weakening the security system. Now, let's connect this to the process of aging. This is the core reason why this matters so much more for those of us over 65. As we age, the blood-brain barrier naturally becomes a bit less robust. It becomes a little more porous on its own. It's a normal part of the aging process. But when you combine this natural weakening with an environmental stressor like a Wi-Fi router that is actively making it even leakier, you create a very vulnerable situation. It's like having an older, slightly worn-out security fence around your property, and then someone comes along and starts cutting holes in it every single night. Toxins and inflammatory agents that should have been kept out now have an easier pathway into your sensitive brain tissue, where they can cause low-grade inflammation and cellular stress while you are supposed to be healing. So, what are the relatable symptoms of this? How does this feel in your day-to-day life? It can manifest in ways that are, once again, easily mistaken for just getting older. It can feel like persistent brain fog, where your thoughts just feel slow. It can show up as difficulty with short-term memory, like walking into a room and completely forgetting why you went in there, or struggling to recall a familiar name. For some, it can even manifest physically. Some studies have linked this type of exposure to changes in heart rate variability, which can lead to those unsettling feelings of heart flutters or palpitations, especially when you're lying quietly at night. This is not a hypothetical risk. I have seen this with my own patients. I think of a gentleman named Arthur, a 71-year-old retired engineer from Michigan. Arthur was a sharp man, always proud of his mind. He loved technology and kept his high-speed Wi-Fi router on the dresser in his bedroom, about 8 feet from his bed, to ensure he always had a perfect connection for his computer. But over the course of a year, his family started to notice changes. He began repeating stories. He would misplace his keys constantly. He missed a doctor's appointment because he was certain it was on a Tuesday when it was on a Monday. His wife was worried, and frankly, so was Arthur. What concerned him most, though, were the heart flutters. He'd be lying in bed, reading a book, and suddenly his heart would feel like it was skipping a beat. It was frightening. He went to a cardiologist, a very good one, who ran a whole series of tests, an EKG, a stress test, a heart monitor. Everything came back looking fine. The doctor was stumped and told him it was likely just stress or anxiety. During a routine checkup with me, Arthur mentioned the cardiologist's findings. Frustrated, he said, "They can't find a thing wrong, but I know something isn't right." I asked him the same question I asked Helen. "Arthur, tell me about your bedroom." When he mentioned the powerful Wi-Fi router on his dresser, a light bulb went on. I explained the concept of the blood-brain barrier and the potential effects on heart rhythm. I suggested an experiment, just like with Helen. "Arthur," I said, "you're an engineer. Think of this as a diagnostic test. For the next 3 weeks, I want you to move that router as far away as possible. Take it downstairs to your living room. And at night, I want you to unplug it completely." I also suggested he buy a simple $10 outlet timer, which would automatically turn it off at 11 p.m. and back on at 7 a.m. He was highly skeptical. An engineer, he believed in hard data. But he was also a practical man. A few weeks later, he came back to my office. He was a different person. "Doc," he said, shaking his head in disbelief, "I don't understand the science completely, but I can't argue with the results. The heart flutters. They've stopped. Completely. And my mind, it just feels sharper. My wife says I'm back to my old self." We did a follow-up cognitive screening test, and his scores had improved by nearly 30%. All from moving a single device. So what is the simple, constructive action you can take? First, if your Wi-Fi router is in your bedroom, please move it. Today, the best place for it is a central location in your home, like the living room or a hallway, as far from where you sleep as possible. Second, and this is a step everyone can take, use a cheap outlet timer to shut off automatically while you sleep. You don't need to be connected to the internet when you're unconscious. Give your brain and your body 8 hours of electronic silence. It's a profound gift of healing. A wired Ethernet connection is also a fantastic, safer alternative, especially for a computer in an office. This isn't about being afraid of technology. It's about using it wisely. We are the masters of these devices. They should not be the masters of our health. If you were surprised to learn about the potential impact of your Wi-Fi router, please comment the word "wow" below. It's a shock to many people when they first hear it, and it helps to know that you are not the only one learning something new today. We've talked about dangers that affect the brain and the nervous system. Now, let's turn our attention to something that affects the very air you breathe, night after night. This next hidden danger masquerades as cleanliness and comfort, but it can be a persistent irritant to one of our most sensitive systems. Danger number 3. The plug-in air freshener. There is something so reassuring about a pleasant-smelling home. A scent of lavender in the bedroom, or cinnamon in the living room, can make a space feel clean, calm, and welcoming. For many of us, especially as we get older and spend more time at home, these little touches are part of what makes a house feel like a home. And those little plug-in devices are incredibly convenient. You just plug one in, and for about $15 a month in refills, you get weeks of effortless fragrance. But here is what the packaging doesn't tell you. These devices are a hidden double threat. First, just like the alarm clock, because they are plugged into the wall and contain electrical components, they emit a low-level electromagnetic field. But the more immediate danger comes from what you can smell. That pleasant fragrance isn't just a scent. It's a fine mist of chemicals being pumped into your air, and you are breathing them in for 8 hours straight while you sleep. From a scientific perspective, these devices release something called VOCs, which stands for volatile organic compounds. That's just a technical term for tiny, airborne chemical particles. Many air fresheners contain chemicals like formaldehyde, benzene, and phthalates, which are known irritants. When you are awake and moving around your home, with windows open and air circulating, the exposure is more dispersed. But when you are lying still in a closed bedroom all night, your breathing becomes slower and deeper. This gives these tiny chemical particles more time to settle deep within your lungs, to irritate the delicate lining of your airways, and even to be absorbed into your bloodstream. For your lungs, it's like sleeping in a very faint, sweet-smelling chemical fog. Now, let's talk about the core reason this is so much more hazardous for an older body. It's a simple biological fact that our lung function declines with age. The tissues in our lungs become less elastic, our airways can become more sensitive, and our body's ability to clear out irritants and recover from inflammation slows down. Think of your lungs like a filter. A brand new filter can handle a lot of dust without getting clogged. But an older filter, one that's been working hard for 70 years, gets clogged much more easily. What a younger person's body might breathe in and clear out without a second thought can, for us, trigger a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation in the respiratory tract. And what are the relatable symptoms of this? They are often subtle and very easy to misdiagnose. It can be that persistent, nagging dry cough that just won't go away, no matter how much tea you drink. It might be a scratchy, irritated feeling in the back of your throat when you wake up. For many, it's a feeling of chest tightness or congestion in the morning that seems to clear up as the day goes on. So many people automatically blame these symptoms on seasonal allergies or the dry air from the furnace in the winter. They spend money on allergy pills, humidifiers, and cough syrups, never suspecting that the source of the problem is that little plastic device plugged into the wall right next to them. This is exactly what happened to my patient, Patricia. She was a 77-year-old widow from Florida, a lovely woman who took immense pride in keeping her home immaculate and fresh-smelling. She had plug-in air fresheners in almost every room, including one in her bedroom on the wall next to her dresser. She loved the scent of lavender and believed it helped her relax at night. For years, she struggled with what she and her doctors assumed was a chronic case of adult-onset allergies. She had a persistent dry cough and was constantly clearing her throat. She told me, "Doctor, some mornings I wake up and my chest feels so tight, it's a real effort to take a deep breath." She had been to specialists, she'd had allergy tests, and nothing definitive ever came back. She was on a daily antihistamine and used an inhaler when her breathing felt particularly difficult. It was her new normal. One summer, her daughter, who lived up in North Carolina, convinced Patricia to come and stay with her for 2 weeks. About a week into her visit, Patricia called her daughter into the living room. She said, "You know, it's strange. My cough. It's almost gone. I haven't used my inhaler in 3 days." Her daughter didn't think much of it at the time. Maybe it was just the change of scenery. But when Patricia returned to her own home in Florida, within 2 days, the scratchy throat, the chest tightness, and the cough all came roaring back. That's when her daughter made the connection. She remembered reading an article about chemicals in household products. She gently asked her mother, "Mom, the only thing different here is those air fresheners you love so much. Would you be willing to try an experiment? Let's just unplug all of them." For 1 week. Patricia was hesitant. She loved how her home smelled. It was part of her routine, her comfort. But she agreed. Her daughter helped her. They unplugged every single device. As an alternative, they placed small open bowls of baking soda in the corners of each room, which is a fantastic, natural way to absorb odors. For a pleasant scent, they put a few drops of pure lavender essential oil on a cotton ball and placed it on a dish on her dresser, all the way across the room from her bed. The result was nothing short of astounding. Within days, Patricia's chronic cough disappeared. The morning chest tightness vanished. She was breathing more easily and deeply than she had in years. At her next checkup with her pulmonologist, the doctor was amazed at the improvement in her lung function tests. What years of medications couldn't fix, simply unplugging a device did. Patricia had thought she had allergies. But she didn't. Her body was simply reacting to a constant chemical irritant. So, the corrective action here is incredibly straightforward. I want you to walk into your bedroom and any other room in your house and unplug every single one of those electric air fresheners. Stop this habit. It is not making your home cleaner. It is only adding a layer of unnecessary chemicals to the air you breathe. Instead, embrace the role of natural, safer alternatives. As I mentioned, baking soda is an incredible, inexpensive odor absorber. If you want a pleasant scent, use natural sources. A few drops of a pure essential oil on a cotton ball, a small sachet of dried lavender or cedar shavings, or even just simmering some cinnamon sticks and cloves on the stove for a little while can fill your home with a beautiful, non-toxic aroma. Let your lungs breathe clean, pure air, especially at night. Give them the rest they need to stay strong and healthy. In this stage of our lives, every single breath is a gift. Let's make sure it's a healthy one. We have now arrived at the 4th hidden danger, and as I mentioned at the beginning, this is one of the most common and misunderstood items I see in the homes of my older patients. It's an object that promises comfort, relief, and warmth, especially on those cold, biting nights. But that comfort can come with an invisible and potentially harmful side effect. Danger number 4. The electric blanket and heating pad. On a cold winter night, what could feel better than slipping into a pre-warmed bed? For anyone dealing with arthritis, stiff joints, or just the general aches and pains that can come with age, an electric blanket or a heating pad can feel like a true blessing. It provides immediate, soothing heat that relaxes muscles and helps you drift off to sleep. It feels deeply therapeutic. But the problem is, these devices don't just produce heat. They produce that heat by running an electric current through a grid of wires woven directly into the fabric you're lying on. And wherever there is an electric current, there is an electromagnetic field, or EMF. Unlike the alarm clock or the Wi-Fi router, which are a few feet away, an electric blanket is in direct, prolonged contact with your entire body. For 8 hours a night, you are literally wrapping yourself in a low-frequency electric field. your torso, your vital organs, your nervous system. Everything is being bathed in this unnatural energy, precisely at the time when your body is supposed to be in its deepest state of rest and repair. From a scientific standpoint, the concern here is inflammation. Research from various environmental health institutes has shown that prolonged, close-range exposure to EMFs like those from an electric blanket can trigger a low-grade inflammatory response in the body. It does this by stimulating the production of something called inflammatory cytokines. You can think of these as tiny alarm bells that tell your immune system to go on the attack. Normally, this is a good thing. It's how your body fights off infection. But when these alarm bells are being rung constantly, night after night, your body can get stuck in a state of chronic, low-level inflammation. Now, let's connect this directly to the core issue of aging. What is one of the single biggest drivers of age-related health problems? It's inflammation. Chronic inflammation is linked to arthritis, heart disease, muscle pain, and a whole host of other conditions that we associate with getting older. Our bodies naturally become more prone to inflammation as we age, and our ability to manage and resolve it weakens. So, when you introduce a device that is actively promoting even more inflammation while you sleep, it's like pouring a slow, steady trickle of gasoline onto a smoldering fire. You are actively working against your body's own efforts to keep you healthy and mobile. And what are the relatable symptoms of this? They can be incredibly confusing, because they often seem to contradict the very reason you're using the blanket in the first place. You might use the electric blanket because your joints are stiff, and the warmth helps you fall asleep. But then you wake up in the morning, and your joints feel even more stiff and achy than before. You might use a heating pad on your back to soothe a muscle ache, but you wake up with other unexplained muscle pains. For some, just like with a Wi-Fi router, it can also manifest as heart palpitations or an unsteady heartbeat, as the electric field can interfere with your body's own delicate electrical signals that regulate your heart. You go to bed seeking comfort, but you wake up feeling worse, and you blame it on the weather, or something you ate, or just having a bad day. This was precisely the experience of my patient, Eleanor. She was a 75-year-old retired nurse from Minnesota, so she knew a thing or two about cold winters. 4 years, her electric blanket was her most treasured possession from October through April. She would turn it on before bed and keep it on a low setting all night long. She told me it was the only way she could fall asleep when the temperature dropped below zero. But over time, she started noticing a disturbing pattern. She would go to sleep feeling cozy and relaxed, but she would wake up feeling off. Her knees and hips, which had some mild arthritis, would be incredibly stiff and painful in the mornings. It would take her a good hour of moving around before she felt loosened up. She also started noticing strange muscle aches in her legs and, most concerningly, those familiar heart flutters while she was lying in bed. As a nurse, she was proactive. She went to her doctor. They adjusted her arthritis medication, but it didn't help the morning stiffness. They did a cardiac workup for the palpitations, but just like with Arthur, they couldn't find anything structurally wrong. She was frustrated and starting to get scared. During a visit, she mentioned her routine to me. When she described sleeping with her electric blanket all night, I explained the connection between EMFs and inflammation. Eleanor, I said, the warmth is providing temporary relief to your joints, but the electricity running through those wires might be causing a deeper inflammatory problem that you're paying for in the morning. I suggested another experiment. For the next 3 weeks, I told her, I want you to put the electric blanket away. Let's go back to the old-fashioned way of staying warm. We talked about the role of natural insulation. I recommended she invest in a set of flannel sheets and a good, thick down comforter or a wool blanket. Wool is a fantastic natural insulator. For extra warmth, I told her to use what our grandmothers used, a simple hot water bottle. Fill it with hot water, wrap it in a towel, and place it at the foot of the bed about 15 minutes before you get in. It will warm up the entire bed without any electricity. Another great alternative is a microwavable bag filled with rice or flaxseed. Eleanor was willing to try. The first few nights were an adjustment, but she quickly found that the layers of natural bedding held her own body heat in remarkably well. About 3 weeks later, she came back for a follow-up. The change was remarkable. "Doctor," she said, "I can't believe it. My morning stiffness is 75% better. I can get out of bed now without feeling like an old tin man. And the heart flutters, they're gone. I sleep more soundly now than I have in years. She had traded the active electric heat for passive, natural warmth, and in doing so, she had removed the inflammatory trigger. So, here is the constructive action I want you to take. If you are using an electric blanket or heating pad all night long, please stop. The safest action is to get rid of it and switch to natural alternatives. Invest in flannel sheets, a wool mattress pad, or a down comforter. These materials are designed by nature to keep you warm without risk. Use a hot water bottle or a microwavable rice bag to pre-warm your bed. If you feel you absolutely must use your electric blanket, then please use it in a safer way. Use it only to warm up your bed before you get in. Turn it on high for 20 minutes, and then, this is the most important part, unplug it completely from the wall outlet before you climb into bed. Do not just turn it off. Unplug it. This ensures that you get the comfort of a warm bed without sleeping in an electric field. Your joints deserve to heal at night, not to be inflamed. Protect them. If you are ready to try a safer, more natural way to stay warm, please type the word healthy in the comments below. It's a commitment to yourself to choose a path that truly supports your body's healing. And now we come to our fifth and final hidden danger. In many ways, this is the most important one to talk about because it has become the most common habit of all. It's an item that combines the risks of several of the devices we've already discussed into one small, powerful package that we willingly place just inches from our heads every single night. Danger number 5. The smartphone charging on your nightstand. Think about it for a moment. For millions of us, our smartphone has replaced our alarm clock. It's replaced the books on our nightstand. It's replaced the family photos we used to keep there. It has become the last thing we look at before we close our eyes and the very first thing we reach for when we wake up. We've become so attached to it, so dependent on it, that the thought of it being more than an arm's length away can create a feeling of genuine anxiety. We plug it in right next to our pillow so we can be sure it's fully charged and ready for us in the morning. But in doing so, we are creating a perfect storm of electronic and biological disruption right where our bodies are most vulnerable. Let's break down exactly what's happening from a scientific perspective. Your smartphone is a far more complex and powerful device than a simple digital clock or an air freshener. When it's plugged in and charging, and especially if it's still connected to Wi-Fi and cellular data, it is a potent, multifaceted source of radiation. First, you have the electromagnetic field from the charging process itself, the same type of EMF we discussed with the alarm clock, but often stronger. Second, you have the radio frequency radiation from the Wi-Fi and cellular antennas, which are constantly sending and receiving signals to stay connected, just like the Wi-Fi router. So you have essentially taken the risks of danger number 1 and danger number 2 and combined them into a single device that is now sitting, on average, just 1 or 2 feet from your brain. This combined exposure creates a dense field of electronic smog that directly interferes with your brain's ability to produce melatonin and cycle through the proper stages of sleep. But there's a third, and equally insidious, danger at play here: the blue light. The screens on our phones, tablets, and computers emit a specific wavelength of blue light that is particularly disruptive to our sleep-wake cycle. From a biological standpoint, your brain interprets this specific blue light as sunlight. It's a powerful signal that says, "It's daytime. Be awake. Be alert." So, when you lie in bed at 10 o'clock at night, scrolling through news articles or looking at pictures of your grandchildren, you are sending a profoundly confusing message to your brain. You are telling your body it's time to sleep, while simultaneously flashing a bright signal into your eyes that says, "Wake up." This is the core reason why this habit is so destructive to an older body's sleep quality. As we've established, our natural ability to produce melatonin already decreases with age. Our sleep is often lighter and more easily disturbed. The intense blue light from a phone screen in the hour before bed can delay the release of melatonin by a significant amount, making it much harder to fall asleep. It effectively pushes your body's internal clock later, which is why you might find yourself lying in bed, tired but wired, unable to switch off your thoughts. And the relatable symptoms of this are everywhere. It's that shallow, unsatisfying sleep where you feel like you're waking up every hour. It's the difficulty in falling back asleep if you get up to use the restroom in the middle of the night. It's waking up with that familiar feeling of being groggy and mentally sluggish, as if your brain never truly got a chance to clean house and reset. And over time, this chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just make you feel tired. Scientific proof from numerous studies has linked poor sleep quality in seniors to a higher risk of memory problems, a weakened immune system, and even cardiovascular issues. Your body needs deep sleep to manage inflammation, regulate blood sugar, and consolidate memories. When your phone robs you of that sleep, it robs you of your health. Unlike the other items, I don't have just one patient story for this. I have hundreds. I've heard from men and women who told me they suffered from what they thought was insomnia for years. They were prescribed sleeping pills, which left them feeling groggy and dependent. They came to me complaining of anxiety, fatigue, and memory lapses. And one of the very first questions I always ask now is, what is your routine with your phone at night? The answer is almost always the same. I plug it in on my nightstand and I scroll for a bit before I turn out the light. The solution I offer them is the same one I'm offering you now, and it is the simplest, most powerful, and completely free action you can take to improve your health. This is a corrective action that you must take with commitment. Tonight, you need to evict your smartphone from your bedroom. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary for sleep. It is not a charging station. It is not an entertainment center. The solution is simple. Find a place to charge your phone outside of your bedroom. The kitchen counter is a great spot. The living room is another. By doing this, you accomplish two critical things. First, you remove the source of radiation from your immediate vicinity while you sleep. You give your brain the electronic quiet it needs to do its job. Second, and perhaps more importantly, you break the habit of late-night scrolling. You create a natural buffer zone between your screen time and your sleep time. Instead of looking at a screen, use that last half hour before bed to do something that truly calms your nervous system. Read a physical book. Listen to some soft music. Meditate or pray. Talk with your spouse. Allow your brain to naturally wind down and prepare for rest. Now, I know the immediate objection, but doctor, I use my phone as my alarm clock. This is the number one reason people give me for keeping it by the bed. My answer is simple. Go and buy a $10 battery-powered alarm clock. The same one I recommended for Helen. By reintroducing a simple, single-purpose device, you liberate yourself from the tyranny of your smartphone. You allow your phone to be a useful tool during the day, not a toxic companion at night. This one change, this single act of creating a technology-free sleep sanctuary, can have a more profound impact on your energy levels, your mental clarity, and your overall health than almost any other single action you can take. You are not just moving a device. You are reclaiming your rest. You are honoring your body's deep, biological need for a true and complete shutdown. So, I urge you, with all the conviction I have as a physician who has seen the results firsthand, please, start this new habit tonight. Let your bedroom return to its original purpose, a peaceful haven for rest, healing, and renewal. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to think back to the beginning of this video. Remember my patient, Helen? The retired teacher was doing everything right, but still felt tired, foggy, and plagued by headaches every single morning. Remember how her doctors couldn't find anything wrong? Today, Helen wakes up feeling refreshed and clear-headed. She has the energy to play with her grandchildren and enjoy her garden. It wasn't another prescription pill or an expensive new mattress that changed her life. It wasn't some complicated therapy. It was simply removing a small, $10 clock from her nightstand. And Arthur, the brilliant engineer who was starting to fear he was losing his memory, whose heart fluttered with anxiety at night. His clarity and calm returned not from a new medication, but from simply moving his Wi-Fi router downstairs. Or Eleanor, whose stiff, aching joints found more relief from a simple hot water bottle than from the electric blanket she had relied on for years. The lesson in all these stories is the same, and it's a profoundly hopeful one. The path to better health, especially in our later years, isn't always about adding something new. It's not about another supplement, another diet, another complicated exercise routine. Sometimes, the most powerful act of healing is about thoughtfully taking things away. It's about recognizing the hidden stressors in our environment and gently removing them, one by one. Your body, even now, has an incredible, innate ability to heal itself. It is always working for you. Our job is simply to give it the quiet, clean, and peaceful space it needs to do its sacred work. As we wrap up, we've explored 5 hidden dangers that could be robbing you of the health you deserve. But as I always say, knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. Information alone doesn't change lives. Commitment does. So now, I have one important question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself after watching this video? It doesn't have to be a monumental change. It can be a small, simple step. Maybe your commitment is, tonight, I will charge my phone in the kitchen. Or perhaps it's, tomorrow, I will buy a battery-powered clock. It could even be, I will unplug my air freshener right now. Please, take a moment to share your personal commitment in the comments below. Reading your commitments inspires me, and more importantly, it creates a powerful wave of encouragement for everyone else in this community. Let's inspire each other to take that first, crucial step. And if you found real value and inspiration in our time together today, if this video gave you a sense of hope or a new perspective, please show your support by giving it a thumbs up. It's a small click for you, but it tells me that this message is resonating, and it helps others find this important information. To ensure you continue on this journey of health and empowerment with us, and never miss another video full of life-changing wisdom, hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community. A community of friends dedicated to living our golden years with vitality, clarity, and peace. Finally, as you finish watching, think of one person in your life, a friend, a sibling, a loved one, who needs to hear this message today. Please, share this video with them. It's a simple act of caring that might just help them sleep better, feel better, and change their life. Thank you for spending this time with me. It is truly an honor. Until next time, may your nights be restful, your mornings bright, and your heart filled with peace. Take care.